Welcome back for another card making video, and I am making a video for a card for another card making challenge. This is for the Addicted to CAS challenge number 37, Grunge. So I'm having a really hard time with this challenge. This is probably the 5th time I've tried to record this video, and I've tried making the card more times than that. Because CAS stands for clean and simple. And grunge is neither clean nor is it simple most of the time. So I did finally go looking on the internet for some inspiration, and I found it on a website called Unico Studio. And Bev made a single layer card there. She's a Stampin' Up! Rep, I think. And she made a single layer card that I am going to use for my inspiration for my final card today. So let's get started making that card. I decided on a chocolate brown cardstock, just a smooth cardstock from the bins at Hobby Lobby for my card base. And I'm doing an A2 card, which measures 5.5 by 4.25. So we are going to go ahead and score this card base at 4.25 here. And get the score tail out of the way. All right, let's fold this over to make our card base. Okay, and because this is dark paper and we do eventually want people to be able to write in it, I've cut a piece of just plain smooth white cardstock to go on the inside. This is a 1/4 inch smaller all the way around than the card base, so it measures 5.25 by 4 inches. And we'll get some adhesive on the back of this, and my adhesive is apparently not wanting to work with me today here, or has too much already. All right, and we're going to center this on the inside so that we have a nice clear inside panel for someone to write their message on. Okay, so our card base is ready to go. This was originally a single layer card, but I am not making it a single layer card. I'm doing it in a couple of different layers. So what I have chosen for my front panel, this is a paper by Wasu paper, and this is called Astroparch, I believe, or maybe it's, no, I think it's Stardust. Yes, it is Stardust. And I chose this paper because it's white, so it's nice and clean, but it does have these little flecks of different colors in it, which I sort of thought looked like paint splatters or something like that, which is what I've seen a lot in some of the grunge cards, but I've had absolutely no luck in recreating myself. So I just decided to use the paper with it on it. The other thing is that this paper has kind of a wrinkly texture. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it's kind of wrinkly, like it got wet and dried out, but sort of split. And so I thought that kind of added to the grunge sort of thing that we're going for. So the first thing that I'm going to do on the face of our card is I'm going to stamp it. And this is a clear stamp called Finnabar by Prima. It just came as one little piece. And this is the, that's kind of the design. And I've decided to stamp this with Holt's Distress Ink in Vintage Photo. And we're going to stamp this a couple of times. Let me get some scrap paper up here so I don't get my mat all nasty, because I've already done that a few times today. So let's get our stamp inked up real good. And we're just going to we're going to go down one side here, and we're just going to kind of stamp it, and we don't really even care if we get a full impression. We did, but we didn't care about that. So let's turn the stamp a little bit, and we're going to go kind of, I guess, that way this time. And get that down, and then let's get one more on here, and let's just do it completely sideways this time. All right, and straight up. Okay, so we have got our first element on there, which is kind of this chicken wire looking thing. So we'll go ahead and set that stamp aside. Now the next part of this is that we want to put some string on it. And so what I've got here is just plain old DMC embroidery floss, and it's in kind of a silvery gray color. And I want this to be sort of sloppy. And so I'm just gonna turn this over, and I'm gonna use a little piece of Scotch tape just to begin with to kind of adhere that to the back. And I just want it here toward the end. And I'm just gonna real sloppy sort of wrap this embroidery floss, string, twine, whatever you got, around the end of this card. And I'm just gonna do that a few times, and then I'm gonna go ahead and secure it with a little bit more Scotch tape here on the back. Let's make sure that's nice and flat. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of Scotch tape there. And oh, I don't have scissors. That's not good. Okay, here we go. And cut that off. And we're gonna use a little bit more of that here in just a minute. So now we've got kind of this string over our chicken wire looking stamp. Okay, and you can spread that out, scrunch it together, make that look however you basically want it to look. So now I'm gonna put an element kind of right in the center of that. So what element are we going to use? Well, what I decided to use was a stamp out of this set. This is a Hampton Art set, diffusion art stamps and Sizzix framelits dies. And so I'm using the flower that was right here, and there's a framelit that came with it. And so this is the flower stamp here. It's a cling stamp. And here is the matching framelit that goes with it. And then I am going to be stamping my flower in this lavender pigment ink pad. And the other thing I'm going to be doing with it, because we all know how much I love to emboss like everything, if I can find my embossing powder. Okay, so that did not work out very well at all. I'm still pretty set on using this stamp. So I need to find something that's going to work to emboss this stamp. And so I decided to change inks and go with Versacolor in Indigo. And so let's see if that doesn't do a whole lot better for us. I'm going to juice the stamp up once again with the clear embossing ink. I'm going to take my Versacolor ink and go over it, just making sure that we've got a good coverage, because again, it's grunge. All right, and we're going to go down, make sure all that ink gets on there, and straight up. Ooh, I like that a whole lot better. Okay, now we are cooking. So let's put this, put that image in our clear embossing powder. All right, and that looks like it's nice and covered, but given what happened last time, which is this whole flower didn't emboss, I'm gonna go over it again. Now, let's bring in our heat tool and get this image embossed. Oh yeah, that's looking like we want it to look. Awesome. All right, let's hear it for Versacolor ink, because that just saved the design. Okay, so we've got our image embossed now. the next step is going to be to cut it out. I'm going to do that on our Cuttlebug. And so we're going to put our paper down. And now we need to take our framelit with our little cutting blade edge down and kind of, wow, I don't think this is the right one. Okay, I have been successful in locating the correct framelit. So the next thing that we need to do is get our framelit kind of matched up with our design the best that we can. And I'm just going to use a little piece of Scotch tape on the frame, not on my stamped image, on the frame, just to kind of hold it in place so that it doesn't scooch off and cut the image incorrectly when we put it through the Cuttlebug. Let's get this little guy opened up here. We're going to put it through, and I always go back and forth a couple of times with these just because I want to make sure I get a nice clean cut. So there is our cut image, and we've got that ready to go. So this is the image that we are going to kind of put right here on our string, but we're going to add one last thing to this, and we're going to take, and apparently I found the middle of this string and not the end. All right, we're going to take some of this and just kind of I guess mush it up, or I've seen people do this. I'm not quite sure how they do it. Okay. So let's see. Kind of mush that up a bit. And we're going to put that kind of right there and put our little flower image on top of it. So the next question is, how are we gonna put this down so that it stays the way that we are wanting it to stay? And my thought is maybe some glue dots, which we have abundance here. So let's start out with one. I'm going to put it right down there and smush our string in. But I'm fairly certain one is not going to be enough. So let's put another one down there. Oh, there's an end we need to get smushed in. Let's see. That may actually hold it. So we'll just use a couple of the larger Zotz glue dots, and it looks like that's going to hold that down. And then we need to, I want to pop this guy up, and I want to pop him up pretty high. And believe it or not, I found some much thicker pop dots, I guess they're called. And they were a little more than $1, I have to admit. Because if you watched my last video, you know I don't really like to spend more than $1 on foam. But these were a little bit more than $1. Not much though. And I'm going to put a few of these on the back of our flower image here, just so that it stands up off of the string and off of our kind of chicken wire stamping. Okay. Maybe one more. I know I always use probably way more than is required to hold anything down. I use too much foam dots. I use probably way too much adhesive. Can't help it. It's just, ooh, hey, before we stick him on there, forgot, this is not a single layer card. So let's go ahead and put this layer on our card base so that it's on there, and we're not trying to put adhesive on the back of this thing over a popped out flower, because that may not work very well. And I'm going to take adhesive over the string in the back, just because, why not? All right, and we are going to adhere this to the front of our card. Okay, so now we got that on there, and we can go ahead and put on our flower image, popped up, not staying. Oh, because you have to take the backs off the adhesive dots. Yes, I'll tell you what, this card has totally stressed me out over the last 3 days. Completely stressed me out. I have just had no idea how to proceed, and when I proceeded without an idea, it was disastrous in every direction. Okay, so let's go ahead and do them this way. Oh, look, sticks much better once you expose the adhesive. All right, and so that, because this is a clean and simple card, although this hasn't been a real simple video, has it? But that is going to conclude our grungy CAS card for the Addicted to CAS challenge number 37 with a grunge theme, go figure. And so we're going to keep it pretty free of decorations. We really only have one additional layer, and embellishments being string and a pop-out flower. So I think we kept it pretty clean. Thank you very, very much, Ms. Bev from unicostudio.com, because without you, this never would have happened, and I do mean that sincerely. But thank you guys very much for visiting today. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope that you decide to go out and make something cool today. Talk to you soon.